Okay, fantastic. Right, so welcome everybody. Hey Amber, welcome.
Hi.
We're just going to go through Pivotal Tracker for the Visualizer project, just so that we have a better understanding of what's going to be happening. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, it's pretty small.
Is that better?
Yep. Yep.
So I see you've got a couple of epics here.
Yeah, so nothing is set in stone here. It was just my thoughts on how this should be or could be potentially structured, basically, you know. So.
Okay, all right. And the what should be the report generator. Okay, so you've worked on a couple of stories and you've created a couple of stories. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I know Segu was going through the code, and I was hoping that he would be here, but I think he's actually just busy with code 90 today. And let me just see here that Zizo was also going to be part of this project. He was very keen, but his time zone is he's 10 hours behind, so he'll probably watch the recording. Okay, so the biggest thing, I suppose, is where to from here, which is what we asked, and we said let's look at the code and see if we should be starting it from scratch or not. And I think it's something that we should just rather build on to.
So one of the ideas that Brian put forward in the last meeting was that we could build upon this just to get this code into a state that it's shippable, so we can have some users test drive it and basically validate the idea in itself, you know. And if it actually validates, then we could revisit this and make a decision on whether we should start from scratch or not, you know. I think that could be a good strategy for moving forward.
Okay.
So basically, what I think we could do is we could like create a new epic and call it prototype, or you know, and just if we create new stories or new features, then we just like we tag it with this prototype tag, and if there's something that we add as a feature request or an idea for the you know, for the real project, you know, then we would tag it somewhat in a different way.
Okay, all right, perfect. Yeah, I was also hoping that Brian would be in this call just to give a bit of guidance. Okay, so I think then this meeting will be short because not everybody is here. Then I'm putting out an emailer today, this evening, so that my clients get it tomorrow to see who want to be part of this, so that we can start getting some ideas from them as well, which will also help us create a couple of features. I'll put a story together for this epic, and then I'll also try get in contact with Segu and see what he's said, because I know that he was busy with the code. Let me just see what Matt says. I think your YouTube ID isn't quite set up. Log into YouTube and go to okay, cool, no problem. And then I'll chat to Brian as well and see if he's gone through the code and what his thoughts are.
So I think it's a great idea. I would like us perhaps it could be a good idea so that I can give you a rough estimate on the code itself, what I've done so far. You've seen some of this code probably before because you also worked on this, but But let me share my screen, and you can focus on me for a while in the recording. And let's see, there we go. And let's see, where are we? What project is this? This is not the right one. Let's just open Visualizer. Here we are. There we go. What? What? Now I have like, why do I have so many? I don't understand this. Hold on a second. Open resource. There we go. Here we are. Sorry. Okay. So let's just go over some stuff here. So it's a Rails application, of course, and we only have we have some modules that we created, and we have a report generated. There are very few controllers, and can you mute yourself?
Sorry.
No problems. But so we're not really storing any data at the moment. We don't have any models that store data. So everything that we generate is just being generated, shown on the screen, and then it could be distributed using Slack at the moment. This is the only distribution form we have created. But the lion's share of the application is done here in this module that uses our magic to compose the entire report. And basically, it's a very, very hacky code, basically. And what it does, it creates a series of charts, and then put all those charts together into this report, one would say. But we have this, so it makes a series of calls to the Google API, and it creates an instance of a class that is called period, which is like a shitty name, to be honest, and it stores a series of values so far, previous visits, current visits. And so previous means previous period, and then current visits is this last 7-day period that we are looking at the moment, and so on, basically. And we have some instance methods that we're using, but generally this entire file, this report generator module, needs to be. This is the very heart of the application, but it's a bit too much. It's not optimal in any way, basically. But if you want to study how this works, then we need to, you have to focus on this file to understand this application, I would say. The rest is basically just cosmetics. It's just a few views. And I think that we only have, so we have a footer and a header. This subscription is not being used for anything. So there is an index file. This is where we the only interesting part of this index file is this button where we press connect account. And that is actually making an API call to Google. And then you list your, then this page, analytics page, is invoked. So you list your account and summaries, and if there is an image generated, because you can click on a property, if there is an image generated, then that image is being displayed on the page, and in the second column you have those delivery methods, basically posting to Slack, sending it out using an email, but the email is not implemented yet. So it's pretty. The user interface is very simple. But what happens in the background is more complicated, to be honest. So the interesting gems in this application are, of course, the Google API client. We are making use of a MailChimp API so we have a sign up for a beta release or something implemented. But in order to generate those reports, we're using RMagic and a library called Graph, and this is the library that we use to generate those charts, basically. Graph depends on our RMagic, but when we put everything together into one single file, that's when we make our RMagic use of RMagic, and RMagic uses the ImageMagick library, which is like a huge Photoshop kind of thing, but running that you can use through a series of terminal commands. So you can do a lot of image manipulation with ImageMagick, and RMagic is just a Ruby wrapper around that library. And then in order to connect to Slack, we are using either Slack Ruby client or Slack notifier. So at this point we have two different ways of posting to Slack, and I explained that in that blog post. You guys can read about it. The rest of the stuff is just pretty straightforward. It's just we use Haml as a templating engine, and Foundation as CSS framework, etc., etc. So that's pretty much it, I think. There's a lot of shit happening in application.js because we're making some calls and using some stuff using jQuery, but that's pretty straightforward if you look at it. Can seem like a lot, but it's not actually. Questions on that? Again, there's a lot of spaghetti code, of course, because this is a spike after all.
Yeah.
I see that Brian joined us.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Hey, Brian.
Hey. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you guys while you were chatting.
No problems. I was just, telling the guys a little bit about the code at the moment.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but Lara, did Sigu manage to get it up and running on his machine, or what's up?
I haven't spoken to him today. I'll reach out to him just now after we've had this meeting, just because I've got a couple of questions that I want to ask him on some other stuff. So I'll chat to him and see what he's done and if he got it working. Did you get it working, Brian, or not yet?
I haven't tried just yet.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
No, that's fine. That's
fine. So there's a .env file which with some API keys and credentials that I will not make a mistake of exposing here in this recording, but yeah. So if you guys need that, I can Slack this over to you, and you can distribute that to the other project members. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it looks straightforward. I mean, I also need to, because I haven't got it set up on my machine as yet after I've reset up everything. So I'll pull it down as well this evening and start going through it. And any suggestions? Start writing stories.
Yeah, I think that if we tag things, stories with this prototype tag, that's going to be, then we can distinguish what will go in the real version versus this prototype. Yeah.
Prototype. Okay.
Yes, and also as I said, I would really like us to consider the business aspect of this entire thing. If you share your screen again, I made some stories or chores about some research that would need to be done about this.
Let me just share.
So I think it's on top of the icebox. I created some chores. Yeah, so if you open like this, well, okay, so Slack notification is not that one, but the second one perhaps about economics. You know, we should consider certain questions basically, and try to do a little bit of research. What can be, you know, if this can be carried. I mean, if we can price this somehow, and how much money will it cost to run a service like that, and things like that. I think we have some questions about privacy. There are some other questions in terms of how to host it and how to market it and things like that. I think if we could assign some people to take a closer look at those things, that could be interesting.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, so licensing.
Mm-hmm.
Is okay.
Yeah, so
I've never heard of OSS model.
So open source software, you know. So I was considering. So we usually license all of our software that we produce in Agile Ventures using a MIT open source license, which allows anybody to grab this and use it for any purpose. Basically, they can close source it, they can make money out of it, or they can just, you know, use it for a hobby project, etc. And I don't mind. I think the MIT license is usually the best one to use for all open source projects. But in this case, I was just thinking that we want Agile Ventures to make money out of this. So I was thinking that, and I had this discussion with Tansaku, but we never reached any conclusion. But so perhaps we should consider allowing people to grab this code and learn from it, but not really use it for business purposes, basically. I don't know. Brian, do you have any opinion on that?
I don't really have strong opinions on this. It's up to you, I guess.
See, I don't mind either. You know, we could just go with a simple MIT license, but I would at some point want to have that discussion about this. You know, let's.
Yeah, we can defer the discussion to later.
Yeah.
Okay, privacy issues. I know it was one of the things that we discussed in our last meeting, which is definitely, you know, because there's going to be SSL certificates involved, and
and also I don't know if it's okay for us to save this data. That's why we don't have a model for anything now. It's just, you know, perhaps we need to ask the user for permission or something. I don't know.
No, definitely.
What will we do with all that data we're going to save?
I don't know. We don't. I mean, so from a functionality perspective, it could be good for us to have some data saved, because then we could make, like, compare like current data with historical data and say, like, oh, for this month we have an increase in traffic or decrease in traffic and stuff like that. But we might as well ask for it when we do our API call. It's not a biggie, basically, you know. But I don't know. Perhaps if we would like our clients to be able to retrieve old reports, that could be interesting to have data saved. But it depends a little bit on what sort of functionality we want to develop.
Yeah, I think if we can't think of any functionality right now, we probably want to avoid the problems with, you know, saving all the data. That's unnecessary complexity in our application for, I don't know, functionality that we don't exist yet.
I would say keep it as simple as possible. If we don't need it, just let's not do it.
Yeah. I mean, because the data is there on Google Analytics, and if they want to go back in time, then let them do that.
And like for the moment, what I'm doing is I'm hitting the API and asking for the last 14 days, and then I split it into weeks, like 2 7 days period, and I do so during the last 7 days you had so much traffic, and the previous 7-day period you had this much, and whether it's an increase or decrease, for instance, So we don't need historical data for that. It's just a matter of asking for a wide range of dates, basically, right? So. Yeah.
So the business model, should we use a free minimum model?
Freemium model, like
Okay.
giving away some stuff for free, and then if they want some, so if they want more advanced reports or something, then we should charge, or should we charge from start? I don't know. It's also a question that needs to be.
Well, I think this is gonna be determined on the economics of it as well.
Yeah. And also, when we are entering, like when we enter the validation stage, when we can actually push this out, we could ask some clients, would you like to pay, $2 a month, $5, or $20 a month? And we can kind of measure it somehow.
Yeah.
It's hard for us to determine at this stage if this could actually be worth any money or not.
Cool. Okay. Report design. I mean, like we said, we just got to use people to test and get some feedback in terms of what they would like to see. That's quite straightforward. And the demand, yeah. Yeah, I think once we put it out there, if we put it out to friends who have got websites, to clients, we'll also get a better feel if this is, So which I said is I'm going to do an emailer tonight, so that will go out to my clients tomorrow. Let's see. Okay, this feature. To strategy for as a developer, in order to avoid consuming API calls quota, I want to avoid making calls to Google API in test environment. So you want to see if they've got like a sandbox type, or
either a sandbox or else, but also if we can stub things or mock things out, like right now we're not doing many tests, and there is of course the question how much time we should spend setting those tests up, but I'm not very familiar with testing strategies for Google calls.
Can I ask, why are we using the same account for, I assume this is production quota, so why are we using the production account in the test environment?
Very good question. No idea. That could be one solution, of course, but Brian, a good testing practice is to avoid actually making those API calls.
I think, but there's also another problem that we're using the same credentials.
Yeah. So that's definitely something that we need to set up a test box or sandbox account for that.
Let's have a look here. Test strategy for MailChimp.
Same thing here. It's like we need to just make a decision on how do we want to test this.
Okay. So
this is like I think I replicated myself.
Replicated it.
Yeah.
Okay. Google Analytics. Okay, that's fine. Decide a bio. Okay, so once we know all of that, then we can decide on the strategy.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah. So if we end up, charging, we should of course implement some sort of a mechanism to be able to charge clients. So Stripe is pretty straightforward, but I guess this could be put off into the future because we don't know if we're actually gonna charge anything or not.
Yeah. Well, once we've done all the research, that's perfect.
So I have a bug. Like when I run this in locally on my machine, I see, if you look at the report, perhaps we could have a quick look at what the report looks like. There's a percentage sign that is not showing for some reason. Let me just share my screen so I can get this up. Where is my Google? So if we go to CA Visualizer and I connect my account and we go to something like code, let's go to code 90. Okay, so you see here, it says that's a 76.9, and there's no space and no percentage sign here. And when I run this locally, it actually shows. So I do not know why that is, to be honest. So we could probably write up a story about this.
Okay.
And then, of course, I would say the entire design of this report should be revisited and see, should we move the Craft Academy logo out, or show the Craft Academy and Agile Ventures logos together. It could be a good thing, I guess. But also, I mean, are we satisfied with those colors? Are we satisfied with the font? Et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, so like all the UI stuff.
Yeah. And is this are the metrics that we're actually showing, are these the ones that we want to show, or would we prefer showing something else like engagement or some other metrics? And that story is more, this is something that you should consider. You're the analytics expert here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, perfect.
So we're aiming for a prototype to test, the application on. So how far away are we from having a prototype ready to distribute?
So I would say that we need to implement this email distribution method, so we can actually type in an email and send it off to somebody. We need to choose what Slack notification method we want to use. I perhaps even hide it, because I don't know if normal regular users won't probably be, they don't use Slack, and even if they use Slack, they don't know their Slack webhook URLs or their API tokens and stuff like that. So we could probably kind of hide this functionality from normal users or have an advanced tab or something. So distribution is one thing, sharing this report. But the most of the things that we need to do is to decide upon what data are we actually going to showcase, design this report, and make those adjustments in this where is that this module, in this report generator module, just to report the right the right graphs and have the right content on the report, basically. And I don't think, setting up emailing is pretty straightforward. There are libraries for that for Rails, but the biggest work, the most amount of time will be spent on building that this report and deciding, is this actually the data we want to showcase? But I think we can do this in like 2 or 3 pair programming sessions. Like it's not more than, like, I don't know, 10 hours work or something.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have a story to investigate the kind of information we want to show?
I think we have something about email distribution, don't we?
Yeah, email distribution. But how about the deciding what analytics data to show?
That's good. So what I would like us to do is like have a working session where we just draw a lo-fi on that. This is what I would like to see in in a report. Or Lara, perhaps you can create a lo-fi off screen at some point and just present it.
Yeah.
Or collaborate with some people. I don't know, Brian, if you're interested in that, you guys could pair on it.
Okay.
And then once we have that, we can start implementing it.
Okay.
Would it make sense to actually show these lo-fis to potential clients to see if they, they would want to see this? Because I'm not sure we know what they would like to see in their analysis report.
Good suggestion. How do you feel about that, Lara?
Yeah, sure. We can do that. I'm happy to do that. I mean, I also just know from experience, and we manage a lot of reporting, so I've got a basic understanding of what clients like to see. So I can put it out there. We can put it out there, but I can also put some lo-fis together if we want to get this done quickly as well.
Oh yeah, so we could show them the current design of this report, and like ask, apart from this, would you like to have, and give them like 4 or 5 different other options of metrics. But we want to at some point we want to say that how many metrics do we want to display? At this point we're showing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 diagrams and 1 text metric, right? So at some point we don't want to show more than, I don't know, 8 diagrams or something.
Yeah.
So just like a list, and nothing is set in stone. Some of this stuff that is being showcased now we can remove, like where, for instance, the weakest point that I see is like what platforms are your users coming from, like if it's Android or Linux or Macintosh, blah blah blah. I don't know if that even makes sense. I included it because I
well, it actually is a big thing in our country. It's very big because it's taken a long time for mobile to kind of take off, and it's only really taken off in the past 2 years. So I think it's definitely one that needs to stay.
Well,
I think maybe traffic. Maybe it's not traffic by country. It's maybe traffic by city. But yeah, we can figure all of those things out.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Amber, would you like to have a look at this emailing thing?
Yes, that would be interesting for me.
All right. She's in a very crowded room at the moment. So yeah, but I think that so delivering this image, this report by email could be. I mean, Amber, if you could take a lead on that, and then Lara, you work on those lo-fis and validating the content of this report with some of your clients.
Yeah.
So, and coordinate that with Brian. That would be awesome, And then once we have that, we can have a session where we can start implementing those changes. It's a little tricky to use those those libraries, Graph and RMagic, but I can get you guys started on that probably.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Can do that. Thank you, Thomas.
No problemos. How do you feel about this, Brian?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
I'll be traveling to Stockholm tomorrow, so tomorrow night I'll probably have a few hours to spend on this. So we could independently of whether these lo-fis are validated or not, we could have a pair programming session where we can work on this on setting this up if you guys have issues with this, but also start to get to know those libraries on how to generate those images.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, perfect. That's
Cool.
great.
Sounds good.
Good.
Okay.
All right,
Thomas.
guys.
Thank you so
No
much.
problem.
Appreciate
All
your insight.
Thank you. If there's anything else, just slack me and I'll get back to you.